Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And in today's episode, we are going to Indiana, which is a miracle for me, to be honest. But we're looking at Indiana Dunes National Park, which just uncovered a brand new lost time capsule from 1941.
Yeah,
Second World War.
that's pretty interesting. Actually, I think for America, this might have been just before the Second World War, because I don't think this would have been a December burial.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh, dun dun dun. December 7th,
Yeah.
It's a man
1941.
in a high castle thing where he's a time traveler, but from a version where the world ended in World War II.
Oh,
It's also
the
interesting.
foreshadowing.
Inside the time capsule, they found several items from more than 80 years ago, which included a silk 48 star American flag, a property deed, and a speech card, as well as newspaper clippings and articles.
It'll be a cold day in hell when I recognize Missouri as a state.
Hey, wait, no, this was Alaska and Hawaii. But
Yeah,
I also agree with the anti Missouri sentiment.
yeah. But
um,
what I find interesting is what was used in the time capsule as a means of sort of sealing it and keeping everything safe. So the time capsule is a copper box which was sealed, and inside of it they used a 40s era building paper, which is a type of very rough but very much waterproof paper that is designed to go sort of in your house and as part of like your walls. So they were trying to make sure that if the copper corrodes and breaks open, what's inside should still be protected from water to some degree,
Yeah, so
which
there
that's
was
forethought.
intentionality, yeah, because that's one of the biggest
Yeah.
and arguably one of the more disappointing things about certain time capsules is they make them out of metal boxes, which
Mhm.
with water intrusion rust out and cause water to damage or destroy everything inside. Which
Yeah.
this did not have. Everything is in pretty good condition, and this was found at the historic Goodfellow Lodge, which is now within the boundaries of Indiana Dunes National Park, but was originally a part of the Gary, Indiana U.S. steel plant, which
Yeah.
was one of the largest steel foundries in the country. And this was part of it that was associated with the foundry. So, kind of an interesting tie into what truly helped make America. I mean, steel in
Yeah.
America is.
Oh yeah, especially the Midwest, Gary, Indiana, Chicago, Illinois, the Iron Works really helped build those cities. They
It's
let
At,
one of them down incredibly, but they helped build those cities.
and at this point, U.S. Steel, this plant specifically, was the largest in the country, which
Yeah.
employed the most people. So it truly was a monumental occasion and location.
Yeah, and the memo from the U.S. Steel inside of this time capsule does appear to indicate that it is part of the ceremony to celebrate the opening of this facility, which opened for them in 1941 as a place for the children of the workers to go play. Release them into the dunes of Indiana.
They can
Like
play in the
sea
sand.
turtles on a beach, those that make it back to us shall be the ones worthy of working in the foundries.
Oh, it's interesting though, and one of the cool benefits with this in particular, which I do have a date for it, column. It was built in January of 1941, January 18th, 1941. And one of the interesting things is the news article where the French ponder truce terms after a certain unnamed leader in Germany assures them an honorable peace.
Oh yes, oh yeah, that newspaper. Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah, which France had only been invaded 5 weeks prior to when this was released. And this was an entire year before the US actually entered the fight itself.
Yeah.
So, very interesting. The American flag is an interesting one because Hawaii and Alaska aren't actually admitted into the United States until 1959. So, 19 years after this. And then also
Right.
inside of it was a copy of the speech that was given. On this date, January 18th, 1941, at 2:30 p.m., Mr. E. Earl Moore, Vice President of the U.S. Steel, laid
Very
this
different.
stone.
Oh god.
So yeah, quite an interesting reading into it, and it's very interesting because then it was used from 1941 until 1976, and the National Park Service bought it in 1976. So it's just very interesting, and that specific building just received a massive grant to be restored, which is part of why they opened the time capsule.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, so they're actually working to try and preserve it, and you could see a picture of the capsule here in the top right corner of the National Parks Traveler article that shows the items on display: the flag, the speech, the newspaper clippings, including other cards. And I think they said that there was a land deed included, which I'm thinking is this bottom left hand corner item, but you can't really discern it all that well.
Yeah. Yeah. My personal favorite thing is if we go back to the American flag,
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where like when you look at it, at first you don't realize it's wrong for today. And until you realize the stars line up on this one.
Yeah.
They're not offset in any of the rows, and that's what gets you because why shouldn't they all form neat, perfect rows? Oh, there's not a configuration that really does that for 50.
We used to be a proper country, a
Now
proper
they're all
nation
offset.
of laws and orders.
You realize that the stars are arranged in little X formations on our flag, not perfect lines. What is this, a grid system?
Hey, I love my grid system, okay?
Just the simple oppression.
It's very interesting, and this is one of the things that time capsules are truly a great thing for, is you get a true insight. And like the newspaper article is very interesting because it comes from a pacifist version of the United States. I mean, the entire front page of the newspaper is entirely dedicated to happenings with the war, and this was before the U.S. got involved. This is before the U.S. went to war with Japan. Like it's such a bizarre point in time that it's very cool to have this insight from.
Yeah.
And not to mention, this would become great museum pieces for the national parks to put on display at Indiana Dunes State Park. Or National Park, sorry, not State Park.
Yeah, national park. Yeah, yeah, definitely the newspaper and the flag. Unfortunately, I do feel that probably the speech and the deed are a little too damaged for display.
It depends. I mean, from this point, now that they opened it, they're going to have preservationists and they're going to have
Yeah,
restorationists actively working to make sure they stabilize these items to make sure they don't further decay, because that is the second issue that tends to be in it come up with time capsules if there wasn't water intrusion, is that once you uncover these 80-year-old 100-year-old items to air, they start deteriorating
oh yeah, yeah.
rapidly.
Yeah. The longer something has been in a sealed case, the more liable it is to turn to dust in your hands should you go to touch it.
Oh, there's so many cases of people finding papers that are 300 years old, going to touch them and them crumbling in their hands.
Yeah.
So, kind of an interesting one. This one's more akin to our homeland, with the dunes only being about 40 minutes outside of the city of Chicago, along the shores of Lake Michigan. But yeah, kind of an interesting one. Not something we hear about all that frequently. And this one was a little less disappointing than the empty ones they've been finding in all those Confederate statues.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, let us know down below, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.